To His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe.
It's a great pleasure and a privilege to have you in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, holding this meeting. It shows, on one hand, the close friendship that our two countries have, and on the other hand, the confidence that you have in Sri Lanka. Having now survived 2 difficult years, I must acknowledge that this was possible because India gave us a loan of $3.5 billion. All that will be repaid. We have already repaid the loan of $200 million that Bangladesh gave us. Having survived 2 years, I found today to really be a day where I was rushed and I had to delay my presence here. For the simple reason, I was dealing with 2 eyes. One is IMF. We have just concluded directors' meeting of the IMF, which was quite successful, and are preparing thereafter to meet with our creditor nations, the Paris Club, India and others, who meet as the official creditors committee next week, and also carrying on discussions with China through the Exim Bank of China. Once we conclude the discussions, then we come to the next phase. Because with this, we are ready to sign the agreements with our official creditors and with the Exim Bank of China. So next week, on Wednesday, we will be meeting with the OCC, and also in the course of next week, we are carrying out discussions with the Exim Bank of China. And I hope by next week or thereafter that we will have come out of this phase of bankruptcy and into the next phase as we go ahead. But it means Sri Lanka is back to business. What exactly is back to business? So today I have to spend my time on this and to decide what is back to business. If we go back to business the usual way, we are import-dependent economy, and we will have to again borrow money to pay for our imports. So are we going to start the vicious circle again? Having done it once, am I to start the second round? Or otherwise, to gradually transform ourselves into a highly competitive, export-oriented economy. So this is the second task that we have. We can no longer go down that same path. Now this is easier said than done in Sri Lanka. So we've decided on a new approach, that we are going to legislate our economic policy. Policies will follow to ensure economic transformation to a highly competitive economy, to a digital economy, to a green economy, to an export-oriented economy. Lay down the benchmarks for foreign investments, lay down the benchmarks for export earnings, and lay down the benchmark for reducing multidimensional poverty. I think it's the first time that we have done this in the region. We are used to the British way of deciding, of mentioning our policies and having acceptance by the other parties who will then implement it over a period of time. Sri Lanka is not so. When one party introduces the policy, the next government is sure to change it. So now at the moment, we have the Economic Transformation Bill, which is in Parliament and is undergoing pre-legislative scrutiny in the courts. I think we could make a copy of that available to you all, because in addition to the policies that we have laid out, we are also laying down the new institutions that are necessary, like Economic Commission, which will take over the work partly of the BOI, partly to drive the whole investment process, a separate agency to run the investment zones, an international trade office so that we will be increasing our international trade, a national productivity commission to ensure productivity improvements, and finally the Institute for Economics and International Trade, which I hope will become the think tank where official and unofficial members, economists and others can get together to discuss what Sri Lanka's economic policy should be. So this is broadly the route that we intend to take. Second is the second I, which I have taken on today, which are on my agenda. That's India. When I was in Delhi last week, I discussed with Prime Minister Modi the need to accelerate the joint programs that we have decided, agreed on. So the major ones are identified, and Foreign Minister Jaishankar came down today to have a discussion. Now this will show the new path we are taking, and a number of projects all will be in one parcel. It won't be individual projects. We've discussed a fair number of them. First is the grid interconnection between Sri Lanka and India, so that sustainable energy can be transmitted to India, where you all need that very badly. We have the Sampur solar power project, which is a G2G project, and Three Island project, which is where we hope the groundbreaking can take place in July. So that's the basis of our energy partnership, and we are looking at developing Pork Strait for wind energy and solar energy, both countries to get together and have a large farm for solar energy, for renewable energy. It also means that we will have a new economy for the northern province, which was worst affected by the wars. In addition to energy, we have also discussed India helping us to expand the Kankasanture port, which is a major port on the Jaffna Peninsula, and to ensure that more business comes into the port. We are also discussing with India on airport development, on the Palal Airport, on the Colombo Airport, the other airports where the Indian firms can take part in the running of the airports in Sri Lanka. With Amul Dairy, the NLD, the National Livestock Development Board of Sri Lanka farms, and the factories will be taken over by Amul, and then they will be involved in the milk production in Sri Lanka, both directly through the farms and indirectly through independent farmers. And that's the big project, which virtually the bulk of our organized dairy industry. There has also been the land connectivity, the corridor. We've done pre-feasibility studies, and now we've agreed jointly to call for the feasibility study. And finally, the major events that we talked is the development of Trincomalee. How we develop Trincomalee as a harbour, which can then feed Tamil Nadu. The development of Trincomalee will include investment zones for industry. There will also be tourism areas, but the development of Trincomalee as a port, jointly by India and Sri Lanka, by our companies. And finally, the multi-product oil pipeline, which will come in from Nagapatnam to Trincomalee. We are waiting the final observations of it. So there will be one pipeline coming. Sri Lanka is planning to relocate its refinery in Trincomalee. There has also been an application by another Indian company from Tamil Nadu to build another refinery. If that's so, then we'll have two refineries and oil to make it oil center. Together with building the port and the investment zones, that certainly would make Trincomalee a major harbour in the Bay of Bengal. So it's in this direction that we are now working to put together the infrastructure and the connectivity in different fields, energy, oil, to begin with. This is what the two governments will do to encourage joint ventures or individual investments into Sri Lanka in different fields. We are also bringing in India. We also decided that we will come on to the Jana-Aushadha program that's being carried on. Now, once we open out, so there will be many opportunities. The whole of the eastern coast is being opened out for tourism. Additional lands being given up for hotels in Gaul and southern areas. More investment zones being opened up in the country. Expansion of our vocational training program. So this will accompany our program with India on these projects. This is just the beginning. And it's a coincidence that I discussed this and the minister was here the same time that you all are here. I look at that as a good omen. So while you are here, I think you will be discussing all these issues, what we have done and what we have to do. This is a crisis. It was a bad one, but it also became an opportunity for change, and that change will take us forward.